Hey y'all, it's Kobe R. Rice, and I'm back again for another weekly creative update. So, the last time I was here was about 2 weeks ago, Monday, March 18th, and I am recording this for you guys today, Monday, April 1st. So, April Fools, okay? Happy April Fools to those of you who celebrate it. Thankfully, I was not pranked at all today, at least not yet. And that's especially great because I have some amazing news, and it is not an April Fool's joke, okay? But before I get into that, let me just do my introduction. Hi, I'm Kobe R. Rice, novelist, screenwriter, TV writer, game designer, dramaturg. I always forget all these stupid titles that I have. Game writer, director, filmmaker, etc., etc. And that's it. And this is the epic fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer. I am the host, Kobe R. Rice, and basically this is just an introduction to my journey. Actually, this is like really episode 97 of my journey towards sci-fi and fantasy writing infamy. That was a mouthful, and clearly I even after 97 episodes, I still don't quite know what my jingle or intro should be exactly. Apparently, I have to think about it. I will have this together by the end of this year, I promise you, okay? So I just wanted to roll up in here because I've been gone for a couple weeks, and the last sort of episode that I left you guys was entitled episode number 96, I'm in Love and Love Comes First. That was actually about my creativity and me being in love with my story, and with being a novelist and being in love with the life of being an artist and a creative. Not about my love life, but I guess it is kind of about my love life because I love my art and my creativity. But this particular week, I have so much to get off of my chest. Mostly positive. And the first major thing that I want to tell you guys about with regard to my creative milestones over the past 2 weeks is that, drumroll, I officially passed my master's thesis defense. Yay! I'm super excited about that because as I've intimated and I've sort of hinted at in the past few podcasts, my master's report defense was a little crazy and rocky. Not really because of me, honestly. And, I am actually pretty good at understanding where I can improve on certain things and where I, am doing well on certain things. And that master's report defense kind of fell through cray-cray. And that wasn't really my fault, honestly, in my opinion. But I still passed that. But for this particular thesis, everything went off without a hitch. And I'm super excited about it. And this pretty much essentially concludes the last major thing I have to do for graduate school in order to get the heck up out of here. Aside from obviously finish out the one class that I'm taking, which basically is going to be me writing and rewriting this pilot that I just finished. And I also have to, of course, finish out my time as a graduate teaching assistant and grader for one of my courses. And so I will be working on all of that. And so my schedule for the most part, except for some personal things that I have to handle, just life stuff, is finally liberated from most of the shackles of graduate school. And I am so excited. The only thing that could make this even better is if I didn't have to take this one last class, but I actually really enjoy this last class because it really helps me to focus on my writing and focus on honing this creative project, this pilot that I just finished with a literal master. And so that is worth its weight in gold, and I'm really excited about that. So that is my hugest piece of news for this week. Pretty much I'm officially a master. I've completed all the requirements for the program. After this semester concludes, I will be done and I will be walking at graduation. I wasn't really sure if I was going to do that. I think I mentioned that a few podcasts ago, thinking about whether or not I would be walking, but I'm definitely going to walk because I I deserve it, honestly. And I also want my babykins to see her mommy walk across stage in her cap and gown. Currently, and there's nothing wrong with this, I just find it really funny. Currently, when I ask her what she wants to be when she grows up, she says a princess and a fairy, which I think is amazing. I told her I would get to work on it. I don't know if, little Prince George will be available. They're only a couple years apart. But being that will probably not happen. It's nice to expose her to other things that she would like to be. But I think her wanting to be a princess and a fairy are amazing. I support it. But then I can also show her that she can also be a graduate of graduate school with her third degree, like mommy is. So that's gonna be really exciting. It'll be the celebration of and culmination of all the hard work I've put into not just this program, but honestly into the past decade of my life, because May 2019 is actually bringing to a close a 10-year cycle of me being a graduate student. And for a lot of you, especially for me, that is a really long time. And as you guys would know, in that interim, I actually took about 3 years off to raise my daughter and to be a stay-at-home mom. And at the end of that third year, I ended up entering into this current graduate program. And so that journey has been very transformative and very powerful, honestly. And I think I'm going to do a massive, massive roundup of my past 10 years growth as a graduate student, as a person, as a professional, because even throughout graduate school, I have been engaging in my creative profession. I have grown as an artist. I've grown as a scholar. I've grown as a statistician. I've grown as a woman. And literally as of May 2019, that this will be the end of my student cycle, because I entered my first graduate program in May of 2009. And who I was at age 23 versus who I am now at age 33 are somewhat the same, but sort of like a fine wine that has aged, okay? In a really good way, because I really liked who I was in my early 20s, honestly. I felt like even with my, sort of laissez-faire, kind of carefree perspective, I still felt very grounded in who I was and my maturity, with the exception of the fact that I was a little bit too nervous and afraid to step into myself and my identity as an artist. That was the big hurdle for me. That and the fact that I didn't really like or enjoy conflict. And I don't really enjoy conflict now, but I don't shy away from it nearly as much as I used to. So those are 2 points amongst many others that I'll be talking about in my massive roundup after I have pretty much walked at my graduation. And so I'm looking forward to that. But having that thesis defense off my shoulders and knowing that as long as I maintain my progress in this class and in this semester, knowing that all of that is pretty much settled is so relieving. And I literally have, for the next 2 months, an opportunity to switch gears and to really get into the stuff that I actually want to do. So that's really exciting, and I'm amped about that. As I told you guys before, my actual thesis was the first iteration of my When in RŌHM TV series, which is essentially an adaptation of Shakespeare's 4 Roman history plays, combined with an adaptation of Roman history itself, but transformed into a cyberpunk noir context and world. And for a first iteration, I did a pretty solid job, but I know that there are many places in which I can improve. This project is really just getting started. It's going to evolve. As you guys know, I also will be turning this project into a 50-episode novella series that will be available for sale from my own press, Rebel Ragdoll Press. Of course, independently written, edited, using contractors and published by myself. And also getting graphic cover design for the actual series. And I will be selling the first episode, rather debuting the first episode in novel/novella form June 25th of this year. So you guys will be able to get a really cool look at how this series is like, playing out. And I think I explained to you guys before why exactly I chose to write a novella serialization of this idea in addition to developing a TV series. But I'm going to go into that in much more depth on a different episode. Now that I'm actually done with the project, or not the project, but I'm done with the first iteration of the project, I am definitely going to start putting together probably like a pretty intense, lengthy series of how I'm going about adapting this major history, this major playwright into a cyberpunk noir realm. And so I hope that following my journey through that will be super helpful. I know it's going to be helpful for me to document that journey, but I hope that it will give you guys some insight as to the certain kind of decisions and changes that I'm making, or translations that I'm making in the course of adapting this work. So that's really exciting, and I'll actually have time to work on it because I literally have no other obligations aside from grading and also finishing out this screenwriting, playwriting class that I'm in. And that's really, really exciting. So in conclusion, though, especially telling by my colleagues' submissions for their master's theses, which were all amazing and great, mine was clearly the heftiest. I think so just to break down what exactly I handed to them, I handed in a TV Bible, a dramaturgical protocol, a series of templates that I created in the course of learning about television writing, and I also submitted my pilot. So with regard to original creative material, including the pilot and the TV Bible, that in and of itself was about 150 pages of just like straight up me just busting my rump and like creating that world. Then there was another 30 pages that dealt with my TV development, my TV writing templates, which you guys will have direct access to at thebohemianbadass.com. So I'm super excited about that. And even my adaptation series with regard to looking at how to develop a TV series based off of Shakespeare or based off of really like Roman history. All of those things will be available for you guys on thebohemianbadass.com. That's THEBOHEMIAN badass.com. And so I am really excited to have done this. And the first, like I said, the almost 200 pages were just straight up creative material that I developed. And then, of course, on top of that, I had a lot of supporting materials with regard to the research and the scholarship and just everything, not even really everything, but a lot of things I might need in order to continue developing and writing in this world. And you guys saw my binder on the past few podcasts. It was super thick. And so that binder is only going to get bigger and bigger as I delve deeper and deeper into developing this series. And I'm really excited just to, keep moving that work forward. So yes, I would have to say that because I went so in depth with this, I'm pretty positive that my submission was the heftiest of my colleagues. I think I did a little too much for this master's thesis. I think I pretty much overwhelmed my committee, I guess in a good way, because I passed, with the sheer amount of information and work that I put into this. So I'm excited about that, not embarrassed about that at all. Were there critiques? Yes, absolutely. And actually, interestingly enough, the same critiques that were given to me by my committee in terms of like the creative critiques and like the story arc and the themes and all of that are the same ones that I actually had of myself after the actual pilot was done being written, you know, as a writer, the more you write, the more experienced you are, the more you read, the older you get, you know, the longer that you're like in the game, you sort of develop tools. Like your inner editor develops a relatively sharp eye. Their vision is never 20/20 in the moment, but a lot of us do have to put the editor away to a certain degree because we realize that we are just trying to get the story out right now, and the editor is trying to like make it better, and you can't really do that at the same time effectively and without going crazy. So that doesn't mean though that the editor is not sitting behind the plexiglass and sitting in the soundproof wall with no opinions, you know. And as I was finishing up my own iteration of this project, my inner editor was like, you know, just like telling me all the things that were wrong with it. And I could very clearly see where the holes were, where I needed to improve, where the world building needed to be better, where the integration of elements needed to be better, etc., where things needed to sit and marinate a little bit more, etc. And so when I got the critiques back from my committee, basically, like, they were saying a lot of the things that I had already thought and I had already marked down in my mind to focus on the next pass through. And so I didn't feel attacked at all. And that's the thing, like, most critique is not supposed to be about being attacked. And I can tell the difference between you really looking at my work and seeing the weaknesses and me listening and taking notes and getting better from that versus you just coming for me and mine, you know, personally. And, you know, it takes I think for all of us as artists, we do need to be able to sit back and listen to the notes that are being given to us without feeling necessarily defensive about it, but to feel defensive when we're being attacked personally, okay? And we'll get into that when I have a discussion, you know, later down the line, probably in the summertime, about the difference between my master's report defense versus what was happening today. Two totally different kinds of feedback. And this feedback, the critique and the criticism I got today, is the kind of healthy dialogue that I expect as an artist and as a professional who wants to make her craft better. So we'll talk more about that as well. I feel like all these themes and things that I'm stumbling upon are things that I can always do blog posts and vlogs on in the future. So that's pretty exciting. But in conclusion, y'all, my senior spring has officially, it started. As of literally an hour and a half ago, it started, and I am going to be chilling, just getting my work done, basically like cruising, packing, closing out my life. Game of Thrones is coming on in 2 weeks, and I am here for it. I am so excited, okay? It's coming on literally in 2 Sundays, and I am amped about that. And also Infinity War, not Avengers Endgame is coming. I keep getting the title wrong. Avengers Endgame is coming out. I just saw Captain Marvel, which was a great movie. Now I get to catch up on all the relaxation and self-care and sleep and focusing on myself, my physical needs, my body, my health, all the things that I really wasn't able to do as effectively at the beginning of this year, and that I pretty much neglected, not completely, but more than I wanted to in the past 3 months. All that is coming back, okay? Because I am just like trying to chill right now. That's really all I'm trying to do, and handle the stuff in my personal life, like my moving and all these other things that like we just have to do as adults. That's all I'm trying to do right now, and just have fun and relax, and I am amped. So let's move on, because I've just been rambling. Other major achievements, which honestly, guys, I really have to give myself a pat on the back for this, because I did this while also getting this master's thesis done. But I finished writing my half of the co-written Everdark novel that will be appearing in Souls and Shadows, which is the USA Today best-selling box set that we are putting together. Now, I do have an announcement about that. I'm going to delay my announcement because I just want to make sure that all of the pieces are in place, that I find, like, you know, just the right tenor and I find the right cadence and candor with which I want to deliver you guys this news. But I do want to let you guys know that my contribution to the novel, to that box set, is pretty much done. I finished writing it officially on, I believe it was the 24th, Friday the 24th. And then I finished the first edit of it on Tuesday the 20th. That doesn't make any sense because you can't have a Friday the 24th and then Tuesday the 26th. I finished it on Friday the 22nd, and then I finished editing it on Tuesday the 26th. Then we sent it out to our editor. That was a full rewrite. That was a full writing draft, and then a second draft. And then we sent it to our editor on Wednesday. We got it back on, I believe it was Friday or Saturday. I'm pretty sure it was Saturday morning we got our manuscript back. I finished all the edits pretty much in one swoop that the editor suggested for me, with some minor ones I have to make. I'm going to make them this afternoon and then pass it on to my writing partner. But I basically finished the novel and 2 full edits of it in this past 2 weeks as well. So that's a major accomplishment for me, and I am really excited. At this point, Everdark is novel number 5, essentially, because I have The Given, The Taken, and The Lock-In, which are the 3 fully fledged novels. Then I have the first episode of The Camille, which is actually a novella, honestly. And then Everdark is number 5. That's actually almost 58,000 words right now, of which I wrote over 31,000 of it. So I wrote about 54% of that novel. And so that's exciting. And then I am counting the When in Rome TV pilot, not only as a pilot, but as the plotting and the writing for the novella that I'm going to be releasing this June 25th, 2019. So this month is going to focus on a whole bunch of things, which includes the transcription of When in Rome from the TV pilot stage to the actual finished novella stage between now and the end of May. So that will make product or project number 6 that I will have finished in literally just the first 4 months of the year. So that would make 3 projects that I would have finished in the first 3 months of the year, 6 projects in total. And then you guys know that I'm also writing 2 novellas for the next 2 installments of the 2054 universe that I am co-developing and co-writing with my other 3 colleagues that I worked with last time. And so I guess that will be products 7 and 8. And that's really exciting. And I've already actually started beating out and plotting out one of those novellas. And I will continue the plotting for that novella this month and start the plotting for the next novella for 2054 this month as well. So I'm actually going to talk about what's coming up in just a minute, but I just want to get through the stuff that I actually got done. So finished Everdark, edited Everdark twice, and then what else did I do? Huge. This is huge. I started or breathed life back into the Sandman screenplay that I'm writing. But I've actually decided that I'm going to write it as a series. Not as a TV series, but as a feature film series. And it will consist of 4 films to represent the 4 distinct stages of a certain process. And, I'll tell you guys more about that when it's done. But right now, the 4 films that I'm working on in the Sandman feature film series are entitled The Monster Between Us, Sandman, Bogey, and Van Winkle. And so you can sort of kind of get the idea, of what one of the premises of this series is going to be. But yes, those will be screenplays, but they will also become a novel tetralogy. And I've just decided, as you guys have realized and have noticed about me, that pretty much everything that I do, whether it's a TV series, a stage play, a feature film series, a web series, everything to a certain degree is going to show up in novelization form. And as I mentioned to you guys before, there are specific reasons for that. But the main reason is that in novel form, I get to really lay out the real vision that I have of this world, the characters, and how I want the pacing and the dialogue to go, which is great. And from a novel format, you get to then exploit a series of rights, whether those are TV rights, feature film rights, merchandising, video games, a whole bunch of different things. It's a very business-oriented decision, because if somebody, for example, looks at my book, they can option it for feature film or whatever. But if somebody looks at my screenplay, the only real thing they can do with it is turn it into a film. And there's nothing wrong with that. But writing a novel gives you pretty much a solid control over any of the rights that can spring from that novel. And that's really important to think about. It also allows you to own the end finished product of something, which I think is really important when it comes to how you want to lay out your vision, and when it comes to you owning a big piece of this process, right? Because anything that somebody develops based off of your finished vision is going to be an adaptation or derivation of your vision, but you had the first word on it, which I think is important for us as artists. And so in terms of rights ownership, royalties, licensing, money, copyright, writing a novel version of your screenplay, teleplay, stage play, web series, video games is always a good thing. Always a good thing, always advisable. But also in terms of just preserving your vision and preserving a little bit of pride in your work as a writer, I think it's really important to have the first word on what your project should look like. And you do that by writing a novel. So, I would have loved to just write Sandman and that whole series as like a 4-film, series that are just films. But no, they're going to be novels and screenplays, and I'm going to direct the films. So I'm really excited about that. So I really breathed life back into that in the past week, because I just needed, in the course of me finishing up my thesis stuff, this Everdark novel, and all the other things I've been doing, I needed to cleanse my palate a little bit. So I jumped back into Sandman, and that's been a really wonderful, lovely, and somewhat horrifying and harrowing experience, because it is a survival horror sort of franchise, right? It's a combination of psychological horror, paranormal horror, and survival horror. And so it was a nice palate cleanser and a sort of change of pace. So I also did that as well, and really worked out the different kinds of rights and franchises I wanted to build for this series. And you guys, again, will notice about me, everything that I do creatively also has a business aspect to it. So I feel like I can pretty much turn around and sell anything as an idea and package it as a brand. I feel like I've sort of developed that competency. And what I'm looking for now as I move forward into my career as an artist, as a brand builder, as a franchise designer and developer, as a novelist, etc., is really to get under the wing of somebody who is experienced in being a producer, and or actually really just a producer, because whether you're producing TV or film, you get to see all aspects of that business process. You get to see what it's like to buy and sell rights. You get to see what it's like to put together a development package, where, you have a great script, but you need an actor attached, you need directors attached, and you have to package things together. I really would love to have that experience, because whether or not I decide to work full-time in mainstream Hollywood and also continue my indie producing, or if I'm just doing a full-time indie producing gig, having these skills are going to be essential for me to run my transmedia, multimedia business that is Rebel Ragdoll. And I want to have that competency in place. So I think that might be the next step. One of my next steps is to work really hard, maybe find someone who's willing to show me the ropes in exchange for me busting my behind at work, and really show me all the ins and outs of what it means to produce something in a variety of capacities. And I have some experience with that for sure, as an executive producer, a line producer, an associate producer in my past. But I do want to get more involved in a project, like bringing a project from like concept all the way to finished product in a producerial capacity. So I'm thinking about that in terms of being one of the things I want to do in the future. I did a little bit of marketing, obviously. For one, I set up the main thing that I did was that I set up the pre-orders across all the retailers that I'm involved with for the When in Rome novella. So actually, I'm going to put the universal link below, and you can, if you're interested in buying the first novella on pre-order, which is releasing June 25th of this year, then you just click on the link, go to the retailer that you are most used to buying from, pre-order it. It's only $2.99. It's the first episode of 50 planned episodes. There may be 70 planned episodes, but for right now, it's 50 planned episodes, and just go get your life because it's going to be amazing. I'm really excited about that. That is pretty much it, guys. As I said before, there have been certain things that I have been experiencing and going through in terms of the professional side of my author career. And I've learned a lot of lessons about being an indie author, about collaboration, about sort of living and breathing as an author in real life versus digitally and online. And I've taken a lot of hard knocks, honestly, in the past 3 months. And I wish I could be more explicit about the kind of experiences I've been having. But I do want to have a big discussion about certain things I'm seeing happening in the indie publishing space and my reactions to it, how I navigated through some very murky and somewhat dangerous territory very recently. And so I want to really bring that into an honest conversation on my channel, because I learned a lot about integrity, about prioritization of what's important to you, about sticking to your values, about basically what hard work and what honesty really means and what they look like. And one major thing that I realized recently is that sometimes when you're doing the right thing, either for yourself or for a cause or just because it's the right thing, a lot of people are not going to be rocking with you on your decision. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, we're all artists and we have to be true to ourselves. No matter what everybody else is doing, no matter what the cool kids are doing, no matter what the mob is saying, even if the mob is banging on your door and trying to lynch you or drag you, metaphorically, which is essentially what happened in the past couple weeks. Even when that's happening, you still have to be confident enough to say, you know what, I'm throwing up the middle finger and I feel validated in my choice. I feel truthful. I feel as though I am walking in my integrity. And that's it. And you guys can be mad. You can stay pressed and stressed all you want. But Colby is going to do what is best for Colby and her sleep at night, her integrity, her career, and just her peace of mind and her spirit and her, shall we say, Colby is going to do what is best to maintain the purity of her creativity. And there's not really much anybody can do to really get in the way of that or, make me not do that. And I it's such an important lesson. And I really want to talk to you guys more candidly about what has been going on in a respectful way. I'm not really here to drag people, even though certain individuals are dragging me. But I am waiting for the right time. I also need to have a discussion with my mailing list and my readers about a couple of things before I talk about this on the podcast. So this is not about really dragging anybody. It's not really about exposing anything or anybody. It's just about life and business and creative lessons that I've learned in 2019 by making a lot of really, really hard decisions for myself and my career. And these decisions that I've had to make recently were not easy and they were not popular. And sometimes doing the right thing for yourself and in general is not going to be popular, but you still have to do it. So I'm sorry for being cryptic. I'm just putting this out there that I want to have this discussion. Probably it will happen sometime midsummer, but I'm going to put a pin in it. And in the meantime, guys, okay, like I'm going to be celebrating, okay? April and May are going to just be like relaxed, lit, okay? I'm thinking about, what I'm going to do with my summer because like some summer loving, having a blast. That was the first thing that came to mind, honestly. But summer is coming, and I haven't really given myself a real reprieve in the past 3 years. And I think it's time to have a little bit of fun and to let loose. And I'm really excited about just like the self-care that is coming for me. For April, as I mentioned to you guys before, aside from just chilling like a villain, I will be working on transcribing the TV pilot for When in Rome into a novella. I'm also going to be working on finishing up the editing and the formatting for the paperback version of The Lock-In, which released in January, but I would like to have a paperback version up on Amazon.com and other retailers by the end of the month. I'm also going to be working more on my Sandman series tetralogy, both in screenwriting format and in the novel format. So that's really exciting to have that project on my plate. I will be also working on basically resurrecting and giving love and attention to the Bohemian Badass, of course, because that's gone pretty much like into cricket zone since I've been working on all these other projects. But now that I'm a little bit freer, it's time to really get on top of that and make the Bohemian Badass pop for 2019. And I'm going to start with my adaptation experiences working on the When in Rome series. And let's see, what else am I doing for this particular month? What else is coming up? I mentioned I'm going to be finishing up the plotting for my 2054 novella, Volume 2. That novella is going to be entitled Surrogate. That's also an entire series I'll be writing, but it's going to be the first episode. And then I'm going to also work on the plotting for the next novella for 2054 Volume 3, and that novella is going to be called Inherit the Earth. I've had this in my mind, this whole concept in my mind for a very long time, and it's just now time for it to get out. So that will be the next novella I am plotting for and working on. And then, of course, because we can't let Ezekiel, just be out in the ether and just be floating out there doing nothing, I will also recommence my work on the fourth book in the Books of Ezekiel series entitled Fraternity. Fraternity is about to be lit. Actually, all the books are pretty lit. I'm really excited about all the books, but Fraternity is about to be on and popping, and I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with our delightful friends, Zeka, Caleb, Micah, Koch, and some other people who have made an appearance. And I can't spoil it because you would have had to read the first 3 books. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you want to know, pick up books 1, 2, and 3 right now, available on all retailers. I'm also looking at releasing, if you guys want to wait a little bit, a discounted box set where you can get the first 3 books in my series for a very reasonable price. And I will be doing that at some point mid-May, I believe on May 17th, where all 3 of these books will be available and boxed together, so you can just pick them up in one fell swoop. And it's really like 800 pages of pretty much nonstop, almost nonstop, high-octane action and ass-kicking and magic and science and just things that you really haven't seen before, honestly. And I really enjoy doing that. I love engaging with issues that I care about in a way that we haven't seen quite yet. So I'm really excited. I'm so excited, guys. The first quarter has been really insane. And actually, I think the very next episode, which will be next Monday, the very next episode will be a wrap up of the first quarter of the year. I thought I would do this in quadrimesters, but I think I'm going to do this in quarters this time because I am leaving graduate school soon. So I don't have to subjugate my life to a quadrimesterly sort of schedule where I'm only updating you guys on a massive update every 4 months. I think I'm ready to get back to like a seasonal sort of quarterly update. So we'll be doing, for episode number 98, it will be my creative achievement roundup for Q1 of 2019. It has just been lit and crazy, like literally crazy in certain aspects of my life. But somehow I've still been able to keep my professionalism, stay on top of my game, finish my projects, and, you know, without sounding too braggadocious, I am really proud of myself. In any case, guys, I am out of here. I'm going to go celebrate by eating some delicious, amazing food that I just got and relaxing, getting back into The Punisher. Senior Spring is on and rocking, and I will see you guys next week. But in the meantime, you guys know what to do. Stay indie, stay badass, keep creating, and I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.